Hey everyone, it's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. I'm the managing attorney and owner of the boutique immigration law firm. We work with companies and families all over the United States and all 50 states, as well as internationally. For my companies and my business owners and my HR managers, we make sure that your non-citizen, non-US citizen employees have the right work authorization and the right visa, and that their families also have the right dependent visas. We also help business owners apply or sponsor and apply for green cards for their employees so that they can work there indefinitely. It's a right fit for everybody. We also work with families. So that's usually going to be a United States citizen who is looking to get a green card for their fiance, their spouse, their aging parent, or their dependent child. Dependent child in the US immigration system is your child that is under 21 years of age and unmarried. So if they are 20 and married, then they are not a dependent for immigration purposes. So I wanted to come live tonight and answer some more of your questions if you had them. I also wanted to talk to you just super briefly about being prepared when you are meeting with an attorney. And this really actually comes from a very good friend of mine. She is a criminal defense lawyer here in South Florida, and she did a video. I don't know when she did it, but I saw it today about being prepared when you are meeting with your lawyer, and that, of course, you're going to have questions that come up. When you meet them as a result of that conversation, and that's fine. We all understand that. But, meeting with a lawyer and not being prepared, not having any questions, not, if they've given you things to do or, asked you to, bring documents with you and you come empty-handed with no questions, you're really harming yourself in your own case. So I thought her message was really thoughtful. And so I wanted to really share that message with you all because it really, really resonated with me when I heard it this morning. So you all know how this works. If you've got questions, feel free to put them in the chat on whichever platform you are on. If they're general questions, I will certainly do my best to answer them. If it's not within my wheelhouse, y'all know I am perfectly happy and fine saying that's not in my wheelhouse. I am a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 25 years, but I'm not your lawyer. So if you want to begin working with my team on your specific immigration case, then you've got to click the link in the bio, schedule a consultation, and then we can figure out if we're a great fit to work together and if you have a problem that I think I can help you with. And I also used to be a USCIS adjudicator, so I bring that knowledge with me to all of my cases. So let's get rocking and rolling. Oh, and as I scroll, we are live tonight on the Facebook page, the LinkedIn, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, as well as TikTok. So let's see. What do we have? Do you think we should use the work permit while you file the VAWA case? I don't do VAWA cases, so I don't know. I would assume if you have a work permit, you can use it, but I don't know how work permits intersect and work with a VAWA case. You really want to ask that question of an immigration attorney that does VAWA cases. And unfortunately, that's just not me. So unfortunately, I am not the best person to help you with that question. What else do we have? If you file a marriage-based case and get divorced and got divorced, then got the work permit after, I don't know. Is that a question or is that just a comment? I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Yeah, so I don't know if that's a question or not. But I work with folks that they get married, their spouse, files their green card paperwork, and they start to file the green card paperwork. Somewhere midway through that process, they get divorced. that happens. Certainly, the Immigration Service understands that divorce happens in general. And so there are mechanisms within the rules, within the law, um, on how we deal with divorce and divorcing couples when it comes to their green card. So I always tell people that I meet with, you don't have to stay in an unhappy or potentially abusive marriage just to keep your, just to get your green card. Let's see here. I got married to a green card holder. Can I get a legal status in the US? Your green card holder spouse can sponsor your green card. That is one of the categories. Um, what other questions do y'all have for me this evening? Because y'all know I haven't had dinner yet. I always come on before dinner. So if there's no questions or y'all are having a late night, I will go make my dinner early because I actually have to sort through an application for one of my amazing clients this evening before I go to bed. I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to look at their application, make some corrections from what my team gave me, and then send it out to the client. And what else? Can I use the marriage document to process my work permit? I'm not quite sure what you mean. I'm not your marriage certificate. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Um, whenever you file for work authorization, or really whenever you file for anything with USCIS or the Department of State or the Department of Labor, you need to provide the appropriate documents and the appropriate evidence to go along with it. So I'm just not quite sure what you mean by marriage document when you're processing your work permit. If it is in the context of filing for a green card, and if you are in the United States and you're adjusting your status, so you're filing an adjustment of status. When I file adjustment of status for my clients, that is when I file for their work permit. Let me see here. Can a spouse with low income affect my case? Absolutely. When you are filing for a marriage-based case or a family-based case, you have to show to the Immigration Service that you have enough income or assets so that you can, essentially take care of this person financially, and really so that they do not apply for and receive benefits, means tested benefits from the US government. So again, immigration understands that just because you may have a low income doesn't mean that you're not in a real relationship or that this isn't a real family member that you want to sponsor. So there's a mechanism. It's called the affidavit of support. If you do not meet the income requirements for the affidavit of support by yourself as the sponsor, then you can get a joint sponsor who will also fill out an affidavit of support. So yes, it will impact your application in that you will need a joint sponsor. And then that joint sponsor also essentially tells the federal government they will, along with the primary sponsor, pay, any monies back to the federal government if the immigrant applies for and receives benefits. How can I reach out to you? You can click the link in my bio and schedule your consultation there. There is a link that says, I think it says schedule a consultation, but it's in the bio. How long does it take? How long does what take? You haven't told me what. Let's see here. Let's see if we have any questions over on YouTube or the Facebook page. Someone is asking, Green card holder files for his son over 21. He filing I'm assuming you mean filing a green card. But that's not a question per se. But yes, certainly, a permanent resident can file for their child that's over 21 if that child is unmarried. So they must be unmarried if they are over 21, if you're a permanent resident. I don't know. Oh, let me see here. Hold on. I had to switch my screen. Okay. My main issue is that I have a visiting visa and I got married to a green card holder. Okay. You're welcome to click the link in the bio if you have super specific questions about that, or you want to work with my firm and my team on getting, and seeing how we can help you. You can absolutely click the link in the bio. And folks, all of my current clients, all the clients that I work with, we always start with a consultation. It is an opportunity and a valuable part of the process. It's an opportunity for me, a necessary opportunity for me to understand what your individual situation is, and to see if it's something that I can help you with. It is a necessary opportunity for you as a potential client of the firm to see if I and my team are some folks that y'all want to work with. When I go live, a lot of questions I get are on processing times. So immigration is not a quickie 3-month thing, or hey, I'm going to get my green card in a week. That is not U.S. immigration. So we're going to be working together for quite some time. So it is a valuable opportunity for folks that are considering working with us to get to to have a conversation with me. And it's super important for me to have a conversation with you to figure out what is going on. Is this a case that I can help you with? Is this even a case? Like, do we have something that we can reasonably file? So just think about that. But a consultation is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary when starting a working relationship with myself and my team in the firm. What other questions do y'all have? Y'all are super quiet tonight. You're not very chatty, Kathy. I wonder, am I like missing something huge on television or something? Because I always have FOMO. So let's see. What else do y'all have for me? All right, you know the drill. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. If you have questions, that's cool. Pop them in. If not, I will go make dinner. And as soon as I say that. All right, let's see here. Over on YouTube, I was waiting for my fiance visa package from Jamaica and would search my emails every day for consulate or embassy. Well, one day I decided to search for Kingston and it was sent 10 days ago. Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens. 10 days ago shouldn't have been a deal killer, though, in terms of what you need to do to get ready for your interview. So hopefully you've gotten a head start on it. Hopefully you already started working on things before you get that package. I generally have my clients start before the official package arrives. So hopefully you've already started on it. But the silver lining is you have the package, and so we're super excited about that. So hopefully you can get your appointment soon, fingers crossed. But yeah, sometimes you just, you got to make sure that you're like checking your emails for every little thing. And always, 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 always check your spam folder. I get the craziest emails that go into my spam folder, even though I have in the past marked them as not spam. So you want to make sure that you check that. Let's see here. How long after USCIS receives a request for evidence do you get a decision? Completely depends on what kind of case you have. If you have an employment-based case, and that case was filed using premium processing, the Immigration Service strives to adjudicate and process the response to the RFE in the same time that they allot for the initial application under premium processing. If you are not filing with premium processing, so that's any non-employment based case, any family based case, totally depends on the type of case, how many officers are in the office, if the officer that is working on your particular case is in the office or they're on vacation, or they've gotten 80,000 more cases on their desk. It just completely depends. There is no set time in which the Immigration Service must respond to an RFE if it was not filed using premium process. So could take a while, it could take like 2 days. I recently had a case approved within 24 hours of sending in the RFE response. So it just depends. It just depends. What else do y'all have for me? Oh, if you want to book a consultation, you can do that. You just click the link in the bio. It gives you all the info you need on that. Kid Earl, you're welcome. My pleasure. What else do we have? All right, y'all. I don't see any more questions. I'll hang out for like another minute. And then we'll see what we got. But while I do that, I always check my calendar while I'm on with you guys to see if I will be on the next night. So let me look at my Tuesday calendar. I will be on again tomorrow night. So yep, I will be live again tomorrow night, y'all. Let me hang on my calendar real quick so I don't forget. All right, do y'all have any more questions? Let's see here. Do you do 601? I'm guessing you're asking if I do 601s. I don't do 601s all day, every day. I am pretty particular about the 601 cases I do. So it's not completely out of my realm of possibility of doing 601s, but it's not something that I typically do every day. I work a lot with business owners and entrepreneurs and founders of companies and in-house counsel and HR managers when they're looking to hire somebody that's not a U.S. citizen. I do that employment-based work. So, the alphabet soup of non-immigrant categories. I do also self-sponsored green cards for employees and for entrepreneurs. So if they're looking to get a green card, but they don't necessarily want it to be through a specific company, if they qualify, we can certainly do a national interest waiver application for them. We can also do an extraordinary ability application for them. And then I also work with a lot of families who are looking to sponsor their family members for green cards. So 601s are certainly part of the family piece, but not a huge part of my practice. So super, super complicated 601 cases, I send out to colleagues who do, frankly, a much better job at them and are much, much more knowledgeable about them and about the ins and outs of them and the trickiness. And so, conversely, some of my colleagues that do a lot of 601 work don't do a ton, if any, employment-based immigration. So they'll send those folks over to me. And really our goal in doing that is to help you get the best representation that you can. And like I said at the top of this, sometimes I'm just not the best attorney for you. And that's okay. I don't want to take on a case that I'm not good at doing or that I just don't know a lot about. It's so much easier for you and so much better for you. If I give you a referral to a colleague of mine who I think can do the case so much better than myself. So I do that often. I do that often when folks call me or they email me and they have questions about cases that I don't do. How long does it take to get an interview? I've been waiting 10 months at NVC. Is filing a mandamus right? And this is USCIR. I think it's USCIR, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know if 10 months is too long for the specific consulate that you're in. It could be, or it could be that you're not even close to getting an interview. And while I think the mandamus is a valuable tool in an immigration lawyer's toolkit, I also think that people are very quick to say, I want to file a mandamus. So I don't know if 10 months is a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. It processing times will always depend on the office that is processing your case and what kind of case you have. So 10 months could be like a walk in the park. 10 months could be, oh my God, you're like 9 months too long in your processing. I don't know. But if it is significantly longer than the processing times state, then I think a mandamus could be a tool that is helpful. I typically go other routes before I go to mandamus, before I start actively chatting with my clients about mandamus. But if you want to kind of get a little bit more insight into your specific case, you're welcome to click the link in the bio and we can do a little bit of digging in terms of, the specific consulate that you are trying to get an interview at, your specific case, what type of case you're filing, that kind of thing. Let's see here. Got an I-130 approved 40 days ago. I-45 is still pending. Marriage base concurrently filed. That sounds like a good thing. But there's no question. So I'm not sure if you're just telling me that, which I think is great that you got the I-130 approved. But I don't see a question. Sorry, my pleasure. You're very welcome. Nan asks, can I use an overdue medical bills to expedite the EAD? Short answer is I have no idea. I have no idea why you are trying to expedite your EAD. Are you trying to expedite your EAD just because you have overdue medical bills, and are you saying you need your EAD to work? And as evidence of that, the overdue medical bills? I mean, I think you could certainly try it. I don't know that I think immigration is going to go for it. I don't know if they're going to go for that. I think there are a lot of people out there who are struggling with the length of time it is taking the Immigration Service to get through these EADs. But you could absolutely try. But I would say if you're going to try, go in with very realistic expectations. I-45 is still pending. What should I do? I already have an interview for an I-130 and it was approved. I already have your interview. Well, before I answer that, someone has asked, what is an I-45? So an I-45 is an adjustment of status application. That is the last application for the green card. If you are in the United States and you are adjusting from a lawful status to that of a green card holder. So the I-45 refers to the form that you file. A lot of folks in the immigration world talk about form numbers. And sometimes y'all are way more specific than I am, like the I-767CA, way more complicated than I am some days. Let's see. So your I-45 is still pending. What should I do? I already have an interview for the I-130 and it was approved. Your interview actually might be for the 45. You should check you should check the interview notice and see what they have said in that interview notice. I have never had an interview that was just on the I-130. And it could just be that's just my current caseload, but my interviews usually it's the I-130 and the 45. So you might be surprised. Your interview might actually be on the I-130 and the 45, and they were just able to approve the I-130 prior to your interview. What if you were denied a 751? Then you click the link in the bio and you schedule a consultation and we talk about why, and then we talk about next steps. That is what you do. For those of you that are not clear what a 751 is, the 751 is a removal of conditions application. When you are married for less than 2 years, when your green card is approved, you are provided or you are approved for conditional permanent residence. I tell people to think of that as temporary permanent residence because towards the end of that 2 years, you need to go back to the immigration service and say, hey, we're still married, we're still chugging along, we're still, doing this whole married thing. And then the immigration service removes the condition and then approves a true permanent residence. So a conditional permanent resident has a 2-year green card. It's valid for 2 years. A lawful permanent resident has a green card that is valid for 10 years. If you were denied your removal of condition application, again, I don't know why, so I would need to know why. I would want to read the denial notice. If you had a copy of what was originally sent into the immigration service during a consultation, I would take a look at that as well. But it's really about figuring out why did they deny it, but they tell you why they denied it. So, you should have a denial notice that it tells you exactly why they denied your 751. So during the course of consultations with some of my clients in the past, they have brought, whatever notices immigration has sent them, including and especially, denial notices. Those are a key indicator of what the immigration service didn't like about the application. Let's see. Someone says the marriage has ended. Would the I-45 still work? What if you're denied a 751? It looks like the continuation to that question is the marriage has ended, with the 45 still work? That's a consultation question. I'm not quite sure where you are coming from with that question. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. It sounds like you're trying to salvage a green card, which I totally get, but the way to salvage it truly is to have a consultation so that I can unravel and fully understand what has happened. The benefit of having a consultation is that I get the opportunity to figure out what happened, what went on in your case, not only based on what you tell me, but what the immigration service says happened from their perspective. And so I do not know what you mean with your question. How early can you apply for adjustment of status after being granted asylum through the court? You have hit on two parts of immigration, which I do not work with. So the very short answer to your question is I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't handle asylum and I don't handle deportation defense, which is what happens when you are in immigration court. So I have no idea. I'm just definitely not the attorney to answer that question. It would truly be a guess. So unfortunately, I don't know. My husband asked me for a divorce. He wants to move to Japan, and I don't want that. Will it hurt my 10-year green card? If your green card's already issued, no. If your green card is not issued, then we should probably have a conversation about that and see how you move forward without your husband to complete your green card application. But I'm definitely sorry that you are going through what sounds like a pending divorce. Let's see here. Hello, Misty. I see you have joined. Felix says my bro is getting married in December and I'm the father of the house. You know why I'm struggling, y'all? Look at me just now. Sorry. If I put my glasses on. Much better. Okay. My bro is getting married in December and I'm the father of the house. Can I expedite my I-131? I do not understand what you mean by I'm the father of the house. Can I expedite my I-131? The short answer is you can always file for an expedite. Like, y'all, you can always file for an expedite. The real question is, what are the chances? What's the likelihood that USCIS is going to approve your expedite? And does it make sense to file for an expedite? I don't know. I mean, in part because my glasses are so dirty, y'all. In part because I don't understand your question. I will say this, though. I will say this about expedites in general. Oh, these glasses are filthy, y'all. I am super conservative in terms of when I think an expedite should be requested. I'm super conservative on that. I'm not one of these attorneys who just files an expedite all day. I don't think that's necessary. The system is first in, first out. The system is set up that way for a reason. Through COVID and, coming out of COVID, whether or not you believe we're out of COVID or not, out of the pandemic or not, the Immigration Service was inundated with expedite requests because these are real life situations. People want their work authorization. People want to be able to travel. And I totally understand that. People want their green cards. I get all of that. Having worked inside the agency, I view an expedite and I view things somewhat differently than other practicing attorneys. And I'm not saying that your expedite request is frivolous. That is not what I'm saying at all. But the more expedite requests that are sent into the agency that are frivolous, that should have never been filed, somebody has to go through those. There's manpower dedicated to those requests. And the more frivolous requests that are put in, the more manpower it takes, frankly. And that is manpower that could be going towards processing applications, which means that your application could move up in the line a whole lot quicker if the agency has people that are covering, that are actually adjudicating those applications. So I tend to be very conservative with when I will request an expedite from the agency. And even then, I always tell my clients, listen, I can do this. I think we have really good grounds. I think we meet their criteria because the agency has criteria, and it's published. It's on their website. It is not hidden. It is absolutely on their website of when they will consider, not approve, but when they will consider an expedite. And so I'm just very conservative when it comes to trying to expedite through the agency. Everybody can't be at the front of the line. Everybody can't be number one. And so I think that's something that I try to, sort of help my clients understand. Not everybody agrees with my opinion on that, and I totally get that, and that's okay. If you ask 8 other immigration lawyers, you probably get 8 other varying answers, right? There's more than one way to get to the end result. So that said, I still don't understand your question. Maybe I haven't scrolled down though, so you may have kind of changed it up a little bit for me, which is fine. I have a pending asylum case Please, can I still go to college with it? I don't handle any asylum, so I am not the best person to answer that question for you. Does it usually take this long for a 45 to get approved after an I-130? I don't know what this long is. I don't know how long that is. I don't know how long you've been waiting. But you can go on to USCIS and look at the processing times. They are there for you to look at. The processing times, according to the Immigration Service, represent the processing times for 80% of the cases that are in your same category. So I don't know how long you've been waiting, so I can't tell you, whether, you know, compared to, compared to the processing times, I don't know if it's been a long time or not. Real world, has it been a long time? Absolutely. But in terms of is the Immigration Service going to agree that it's been a long time? I have no idea. Someone has asked, y'all, I said I was going to dinner and y'all were like, wait. Somebody has asked if I do pro bono consultations. Somebody else has asked what is pro bono. So I will handle those two questions at once. Pro bono is essentially a fancy word for free. Do I do pro bono consultations on an extremely limited basis? That is not something that I normally do. But in a very limited circumstance, I do pro bono consultations. But that is absolutely not the norm in my practice. Can you apply for the green card lottery even though you're already in the country? Yes. The diversity visa lottery ends tomorrow. So you want to get on that this evening if that is what you want to do. Truly, let me repeat that. The diversity visa lottery and registration ends tomorrow, November 7th. So if that is what you want to do, you need to log out of this live and register for the diversity visa lottery. It's just my tip for the day. What are the chances of winning the diversity visa lottery? I have no idea. I have no idea what the percentages were last year. But I mean, I can tell you, like, listen, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter because your chances of getting chosen in the lottery if you don't enter the lottery are 0. So it doesn't take that long to enter the diversity visa lottery. You do not need an attorney or any form filler or paralegal to enter the lottery. You have all of that information that you need. You have all the information that you need. So I say again, if it is something that you want to do, log off from this live and hop on to the Department of State website and go register. Let's see here. I meant I am his elder brother and stand in place as the father because our dad is late. My mom is elderly. I usually don't do this. I don't quite remember what your question is. Married in December. Can I exit? That doesn't necessarily mean that the Immigration Service is going to expedite your travel permission. I also feel like there's a lot of facts missing there, which I understand. But if that's something you want to talk about further in terms of an expedite, you're welcome, absolutely welcome to schedule a consultation, and we can kind of dig in a little bit more on that. If someone threatens to call ICE on you, can you get a green card? So ICE is synonymous with deportation. I don't do any deportation defense work. So I don't really know the answer. I'm not sure I 100% understand your question, but I don't do any deportation defense work. I rarely come in contact. My interaction with ICE is not about deportation. So I don't know the answer to your question. Lawyers way better than me handle deportation cases. Those are some true litigators, some true legal warriors. Let's see here. I submitted my 45 and my I-130. Since November 8th, 2021, my case is showing actively being reviewed. Okay. I can tell you, actively being reviewed, like I've had cases that have sat in the actively being reviewed status for quite some time. Um, Depending on the type of case that you have, um, that may be over the processing time. You can find that out by going to USCIS.gov and checking their processing times. You can schedule a consultation with me. I'm going to be honest with y'all. It kind of makes no sense for you all to schedule a consultation, and most lawyers won't say this. It makes no sense for you to schedule a consultation with me just to talk about the processing time, right? There's got to be more, I think, to make that consultation worth your while. It's when you have access to the processing times online. So if you look at the processing times online and you're like way over the processing times, like your case, it looks like it should have already been processed. That's when you come to a lawyer and you say, hey, what do I do? But again, I don't know what category of I-130 you filed. So, it could be the visa bulletin is wonky. So it could be that your case, when you filed it, was eligible to be, processed. But now with movement in the visa bulletin, it means that they can't process it. So I don't know. I just don't know. That makes sense to talk about during a consultation. But I don't know. Parents moved to Mexico 10 years ago. They have the permanent bar. Can I petition for them? Ooh, that also falls under deportation defense. Permanent bar stuff, not in my wheelhouse at all. At all. So I do not, Alejandro, I am definitely not the person you want to talk to about that. I applied for asylum and I got married and I have a combo card. Can I travel? Not home country. Um, I don't know. I would say if you have the travel card, sure. Technically, should you be able to travel with it? Yes. The better question is, am I able to? And that I don't know. And I would say you really need to schedule a consultation and ask that question of an immigration attorney who routinely handles asylum matters. If they do not routinely handle asylum matters, then they are not the person for you to talk to get this question answered. Asylum rules and travel are super, super tricky. And I don't do any asylum, so I really do not know the answer to your question. Besides an EB3, how can a citizen sponsor a green card? That's so my initial thought is, well, how much time do you have? um, so an EB3 is employment-based third preference green card. There's, there are different categories, and for employment-based green cards, there are different categories for family-based green cards. So there are several ways in which a US citizen, whether that US citizen be a member of your family or a business owner, can sponsor a green card. And I just don't have enough time on this live tonight because I am going to go get some dinner to sort of walk through what all those ways are. If there is a specific green card category that you are thinking about or you have questions about that you think you qualify for, then I would say schedule a consultation and we can talk about your specific situation. Often I get the question, someone will send me an email and say, what's the best way for me to get to the US? That is such a broad question, right? That's such a, I don't know. Look, I don't know anything about you. I don't know what your situation is. That's why a consultation is helpful, right? And that with that question, I go through family-based and employment-based options that this person may have. But yeah, an EB3 is certainly an option. Is it an option for you? I don't know. Let's see here. Da-da-da-da. Yep, we did that one. We talked about that. Let's see here. What is the lottery? What's the lottery? What is diversity? I'm kind of going to go a little bit out of order and group some of these together. What's the diversity visa lottery? So the diversity visa lottery is a program via the Department of State. Department of State works very closely with the U.S. Immigration Agency, and it is a program that is run via a lottery. And it is basically a green card lottery. It is when you do not have to be sponsored by a family member and you don't have to be sponsored by a company for your green card. The diversity visa lottery, one of its goals is to add diversity in the individuals and what countries they are coming from in the total number of green cards that are allotted each fiscal year by the federal government. So the government knows, and as lawyers, we know that some countries, like a smaller number of countries, tend to have many, many, many green card applications that are in the pipeline that are waiting to be processed. Someone, sometime at some point, I don't remember when, said, we really want to give those individuals or give individuals from other countries a chance to come to the US and get a green card. But maybe they don't have family, maybe they don't have an employment sponsor. So they came up with this diversity visa lottery to get a larger cross section of people from the world into the United States. So the lottery is just that. It is a lottery. You enter your name into the lottery, provide the age, you provide some details. And then in a couple months, I think it's a couple months, they will basically randomly pull numbers, pull registrations, and then you can apply for a green card. So getting picked in the diversity visa lottery does not mean that you automatically get a green card. You now just have the opportunity to file that green card application. It still has to be processed. You still have to go through background checks. You still have to submit a medical report. So you still have to do the whole application process. It's just that you kind of start with a lottery. So that's the diversity visa lottery. Recently, I got a work permit at the RFE, but an RFE for the I-864, since my income isn't enough. Can I add new job income? If you have a new job, you can certainly do that. You can also add a joint sponsor. Totally up to you. Totally up to you. Let's see here. Can you file VAWA if you had an annulment because you found out your spouse is a bigamist? That is an incredibly loaded question. That brings up more questions than answers, but I don't handle VAWA. I know just enough about VAWA to be very dangerous. So you really want to speak with a lawyer that handles VAWA cases all day, every day, which is not me. I got voluntary departure but didn't leave. What are my options? I don't know. Voluntary departure falls under that whole deportation defense silo of immigration. So I do not know. You want to speak with someone who handles deportation defense all day, every day. My lawyer applied for asylum, but I ended up dropping that lawyer. No reason to apply for asylum. Okay, I don't handle asylum cases. So I'm definitely not the person that you would want to chat with about that. But I would say you definitely want to find a new lawyer if you were not pleased with your previous one, who can help you. I don't know where you are in the country, but if you want to shoot me a message and tell me where you are in the country, I can certainly see if I know colleagues in your portion of the country who can help you with that, who can help you with your asylum. It's not going to be me. It's not what I do. But I do have colleagues across the country who are way better than I am when it comes to asylum and some other case types. Thank you for being so raw and real. You're quite welcome. I don't quite know how to be any other way. And when I tell you it got me into trouble as a kid, whew, and some days it still gets me in trouble within my family, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I am who I am. I applied for a police certificate of police record with my green card application, and it was approved. Scared to travel abroad. I was told Customs and Border can still deny entry. Certificate record. What was approved? Was your green card approved? Let me see. Did you add something else in there? I think, is it Kayla? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But Kayla, what was approved? Was your green card approved, or was your advanced parole approved? Two very different things. So I'm not quite sure what you mean was approved. So tell me which one was approved. And then, I can kind of give you some thoughts on travel. So pop that in the chat for me. Quick question. Could a misdemeanor charge can affect my U visa process and how it affects? Y'all are coming with all the things I don't do this evening. One, I don't do U visas. I have never done a U visa. Full transparency. So I don't know whether or not your own criminal charges could impact your U visa process. Second, misdemeanor criminal charges. Just because a charge is considered misdemeanor with the state, the local law enforcement agency, doesn't mean that it's automatically going to be considered a misdemeanor in the eyes of immigration and how immigration deals with things. So I would say whenever you have a criminal history, whether it's misdemeanor or felony, no matter what it is, you want to get an immigration lawyer involved. And make sure that lawyer, ask the questions. Does that lawyer work with individuals that have criminal backgrounds? Do they work on, in your case, U visas? Do they work on VAWA? Do they work on asylum? Do they work on employment base? Like, you want to make sure when you have a criminal background that you have a lawyer that really understands and can explain to you what your process looks like and how your criminal background may or may not impact your immigration case. So that is something you want to really think about. What is my specialty? Someone has asked. So I work with first it's immigration, because I don't know how long you've been on the live. So I am Carol Williams. I own and am the managing attorney at Williams Immigration. We're a boutique immigration law firm. All we do is immigration. We work with folks all across the United States, all 50 states, as well as internationally. I work with business owners. I work with founders. I work with in-house counsel. I work with HR representatives to make sure that the individuals that they are hiring have the right immigration work authorization. If they then choose to sponsor that person for a green card, I help the company and the individual through that process. I also work with families. So that's usually, usually going to be a United States citizen who is looking to get a green card for their fiance, their spouse, their aging parent, or their dependent child. Dependent child in my immigration world is under 21 and unmarried. And then I also help folks with U.S. citizenship applications for their naturalization applications. Let's see here. What else do we have here for questions? My husband's I-130 is actively under review as of August 2023. What does that mean? I'm a U.S. citizen. It means they received in August of this year, it means they received your case. I would love to tell you it means that you are looking at an approval in a couple months. It just means that they've received your case. So it could mean that they are getting ready to send you a biometric appointment. Could mean that they have, separated your advanced parole and your employment authorization document and sent them to the appropriate offices to be adjudicated. If you filed those, it could just mean that they received your application and it just hasn't hit the shelf where it's going to sit for a little while. But actively under review could mean a whole host of things. I've had cases sit for actively under review for like months. So it does not mean what you and I would like it to mean, which is they're actually doing something on your case and they're going to do it quickly. So I wish it did, but it doesn't. That has not been my experience with that particular update. Is it true when you work as an F1, which is a student, without work authorization, you will never get a green card? No. It depends on what kind of work you were doing. Students are tricky. Students, a lot of what they do is really they need to speak with the foreign student officer at their school. I believe students are able to work on campus, but they have to get permission from the foreign student officer at their school. So just because someone is working, they may be doing, they may be doing something on campus, that in and of itself does not violate their status. So again, for students, your first point of question, the first person you're going to ask is always going to be the foreign student officer at your school. Advanced parole for an I-130 question mark. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're asking me. Let's see here. All right, that seems to be the last question. Oh, okay. Kayla, here we go. I'm glad I scrolled back up. So, Kayla, if you were still on, your green card was approved. You can travel. You can travel with an approved green card. Let me scroll. Normally, I don't scroll back up, but your question had me super curious. Okay, so you submitted a police certificate. Maybe it's certified. Maybe I'm going to assume cert means certified. I submitted a certified police record with my green card application and it was approved. So your green card application was approved. You're still scared to travel abroad. I was told Customs and Borders can still deny entry. Okay. Let's talk about this. So, your whatever the criminal issue was, whatever it was, you submitted a certified police certificate to them and they approved your green card. So that tells me that they looked at what you submitted to them, decided it was not a reason to deny your green card. So if your green card is issued, your green card allows you to, 1, live in the US, 2, it allows you to travel in and out of the US, and 3, so live, work, and travel. That's what your green card allows you to do. Someone has already adjudicated, someone has already looked at, somebody has already evaluated the criminal background and the documents that you submitted. So I don't, you, you can certainly travel with a green card. You need your green card and you need you need your valid passport from your home country. Now, and I'm not saying this is your scenario at all. If there was fraud committed when you got your green card and you were less than honest, then that might be an issue, right? The immigration service might realize that and later and come back. Now, anyone traveling into the US who is not a US citizen can be stopped by the immigration officer and asked questions. I have heard of very, very specific scenarios where folks with green cards have had trouble getting into the US. But that said, the folks I have, when I get phone calls from people that are actively in the airport who are struggling to get in because there was an issue, they were usually not green card holders, y'all. They're usually not green card holders. The other thing I will say about having a green card is a green card does not shield you from deportation. That is super important to know and understand. So just because you have your green card doesn't mean that the immigration service can't put you into deportation proceedings because you do something. So the immigration service, Kayla, in your situation, has already determined whatever was on your criminal history, they are not concerned about it. They issued your green card. Now, if you now have your green card and you decide, woohoo, I can do whatever I want, right? And you go out and you start committing a string of crimes, right? You were in it to win it. All the crimes known to man, they will come after you and they will put you into deportation proceedings. Doesn't matter if you have a green card. So keep that in mind. So yes, immigration can always stop you at the airport. They can always ask you questions. But I have not had a ton of issues with actual approved green card holders traveling. Make sure you have your card. If you don't have your card for some reason, make sure you get a stamp in your passport that says that you are in fact a green card holder. Let's see here. So I hope that was helpful. Someone's asking for the site to apply for the green card lottery. Usually I don't look stuff up online. But since it expires tomorrow, I will do so. It's Department of Labor. Here's what you're going to do. If you are going to go to travel.state.gov, or you can just Google diversity visa lottery, and it will come up, and it should you're at the right site if it's a travel.state.gov website. Let me see here. What do we got here? My mom's husband filed for her. It's almost 2 years now, and she sent all of her documents. How long should it take? I would say look at the processing times online on USCIS.gov. And if you are past processing times, then that is something that we can kind of talk about how to shake your case loose from immigration. But processing times depend on where the application is, like what office has it, and what kind of application. Like I don't know if you're mom's husband is a US citizen, if he's a green card holder, that right there changes the processing time significantly. Let's see here. How long does USCIS take to respond to RFE and NOIDs? So my immediate thought is as long as they want. But my more sort of serious answer is there is no specific time for them. There's no specific stated time by which they have to respond unless we are looking at employment-based cases and they were filed using premium processing. And even then, they don't have to abide by those times when they're responding to noise. So let's see here. To consulate schedule interviews after NVC expedites a case. So NVC works very closely with the consulate. Each consulate has a slight variation of how they schedule their appointments. But yes, NVC tells the consulate, hey, we have all the documents, and you now have appointments available. For some, NVC will go ahead and do that scheduling. For others, the consulate will reach out and get that scheduling done on their own. So it really just depends. Can your employer sponsor while you are illegal to adjust your status? No. In order to, Raja, you're very welcome. In order to adjust your status, you must, to adjust your status in the US for a green card, you must be coming from a status. So you're going from one status to another. If you do not have lawful status, then you cannot adjust in the US because you're not coming from a lawful status. So the short answer to that is no. There's sort of tons of strategy around that that we work with our clients on, but the short answer is no. Yeah, so Kayla's saying my certified police record shows all my encounters with police and the court outcomes. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. And somebody at the immigration service decided that it didn't matter. Decided that it was that whatever is in there is not a reason or was not a reason to deny your green card. So, they looked at it and they said, okay, we're good to go. Here's your green card, which is great. So to that, I say to you, congratulations. You're a green card holder. This is a good thing. I've done fingerprints for Form 601A in 2021. Any estimate how long it will take to get an interview? I have no idea. I haven't done a 601 in quite some time. They are not a regular part of my practice. So in terms of your stress being if you get a bad customs officer, listen, I've done a ton of travel all around the world. I've been to over 30 countries. Sometimes you just get a cranky officer. You do. It happens, right? We're human. We all have cranky days. My family will tell you I probably have more than the average, right? We all have cranky days. It's okay. But as long as you have the documents that you're supposed to have, people still get in the country, even though an officer may be having a bad day. That's just kind of the reality of it. And I think the only way that you're going to get over this stress and fear of travel is to do it. Now, maybe you want to, if you are super nervous and scared about traveling, travel with someone on the off chance that something happens, right? You have a friend in the airport who is in line with you who can start making phone calls, right? But I think, the only way for you to kind of work through that fear and that angst of going through immigration, and again, I don't know what your immigration history is. I don't know what your travel history is. But I have worked with clients who have had severe anxiety when it comes to going into a consulate or a travel or, just coming in contact with immigration by themselves, right? Because as their attorney, I couldn't be in the airport with them. And so that's kind of something that I work through with my clients from when we start working together from the very beginning. But maybe do like a quick trip, up to Canada or down to Mexico and bring a friend with you. Maybe try like a quickie weekend trip. Bring a friend with you, and then when you're coming back, you have that friend who's there, who's like a calming force for you. And on the off chance that something happens, they're there. They have their cell phone. They can start making phone calls. So I wish you good luck with that. But I know the anxiety of travel is real for some folks that are immigrants here in the U.S. When filing, does USCIS also require asset documentation from the petitioner? Asset documentation is an option if your salary, if your income in and of itself does not meet the affidavit of support requirements. How long is adjustment of status duration for U.S. citizens' parents on visitor visa and issue with overstaying? I don't actually even understand what you're asking me. How long is adjustment of status duration for U.S. citizens' parents on visitor visa? Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually don't know what you're asking. So if you can like rephrase that, but you're gonna have to rephrase it quickly because I am hopping off soon. So XRUN 55 or XRON 55. If you can rephrase that super quick, or you can come back tomorrow night. But I am going to hop off. So this has been fun as always. I'm Carol Williams of Williams Immigration. I'm the lead attorney and the owner. We are a boutique immigration law firm. I've been practicing for 25 years. That's all I've been practicing is immigration. I'm a former USCIS Adjudications Officer. So I worked at headquarters up in DC with USCIS. And I bring that knowledge with me to my clients' cases. I work with business owners and in-house counsel and companies when they're hiring folks that are not U.S. citizens. It's my job to make sure all their non-U.S. citizen folks in the company have the right work authorization. I also help them sponsor their employees for green cards. I also do self-sponsored green cards. So if someone is interested in EB2, NIW, or they're interested in EB1, extraordinary ability, I help with those as well. Those are some of my favorite cases to do on the employment side. They're super unique and interesting. I also work with families. So if you are here, typically my clients are going to be U.S. citizens, and they're looking to sponsor for green cards their family members. So they're aging parents, they're dependent children. But dependent children, y'all, under 21 and unmarried. If you are 20 years old and married, you are no longer dependent for your for immigration purposes, and their spouses and their fiancés. So that's really kind of what I work on. My team is amazing. So they work very closely with me. They work very closely with my clients. All of my clients all started with a consultation. So if you want to work with me, if you want to, click the link in my bio, schedule a consultation. That gives me an opportunity to really dig into your facts and into your case and see if it's something that my firm can help with. I am not afraid to tell you if it's something that I can't help you with, or something where I don't think that I'm like the best person. And so that's where we're going to end. I think, let's see, there's one more question. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more questions and then that's it, y'all. For real, for real, for real. I want to thank y'all for the hand hearts and the roses tonight. I super appreciate those. You guys are awesome. The last 2 questions. One is, can you get citizenship with a felony 3 years ago? So here's the deal with U.S. citizenship. You must prove good moral character. In general, the Immigration Service would like to see that you've never committed a crime. That is highly unrealistic, right? Things happen in people's lives for various reasons. People have found themselves with, some sort of criminal background, some sort of criminal history. It happens, y'all. It happens. People hit rough patches. Just because something is a felony, and I said the opposite earlier, just because something is a felony or a misdemeanor in state court or with your local law enforcement agency doesn't mean that it is, a misdemeanor or a felony or an aggravated felony in the immigration system. There needs to be an analysis done of the state rule, the state law, and how that interacts with the immigration rules. I cannot stress this enough. If you are an immigrant and you are applying for a green card or citizenship or a if you're changing from one non-immigrant status to another, or you're a student and you hit a rough patch in school and now you're going for that H-1B. If you have had interaction with the U.S. criminal justice system, please have a conversation with an immigration lawyer, not a paralegal, not a form filler, not a notario, a lawyer who can do an analysis for you of your criminal history and see how, if at all, it will impact the case that you are trying to apply for. So the short answer is, to your question about citizenship and a felony 3 years ago and being first offender, I don't know if that will have an impact. I don't know what the criminal charges were. I don't know what state they were in. I don't know if you were incarcerated at all. And frankly, all questions I would never ask you to reveal the answers to on a live. I would never ask these questions, of you on a live. But these are things that I would need to know as the attorney as part of that analysis. So the short answer to your question is I don't know. Could it? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know. That is when I say to you, I am an immigration lawyer, but I'm not your immigration lawyer. And because there is a criminal history, I would highly recommend that you and anyone else who has a criminal history, no matter what it is, speak with an immigration lawyer prior to filing. Now, notice I said an immigration lawyer, not a criminal lawyer. Not all criminal lawyers are also immigration lawyers. I work closely with some criminal lawyers, but I leave the criminal piece to them. They leave the immigration piece to me, and together we work, on behalf of our mutual client. And we confer with one another, we speak with one another, we have, a way of, sort of a secondhand nature of getting our client past the goal line. But make no mistake about it, I am not a criminal lawyer, so I do not routinely look at criminal statute sections, which when you're doing an immigration analysis, you need to look at the actual code section that is listed in the charging documents and then, and all throughout your criminal files. So I don't have all those committed to memory, right? Just as my criminal friends, my criminal attorney friends don't have the immigration rules committed to memory. So we have to work super closely together. So again, short answer is I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. Super important answer though is if you're looking to apply for citizenship and you have a criminal background, highly recommend you get an immigration lawyer involved. And then the last question I'm going to answer is, why is the 751 taking so long? One, it's taking so long because immigration will never process fast enough for us, right? Like that's just the reality. We will never say, oh, immigration did that. Well, I will say it once because I got one case recently last week filed or approved within 24 hours. That is not the norm, y'all. That is absolutely not the norm. I'm super excited about it. Like I'm still on a high, but that is not the norm. So one, it's taking a long time because immigration is never going to process as fast as we would like them to. Two, it's taking a long time because they are still unfortunately digging themselves out of a COVID backlog where for months nothing was processed, but yet we didn't stop filing applications. So we're just piling them on, piling them on. So they are working through that backlog. Three, I don't know which office has your 751. I don't know what office it's in. I don't know how that office has prioritized their caseload. So these are all things that go into processing times. I will tell you all though, for processing times in general, one, you can always go on the immigration website and see how long it's taking them to process your case type. The information that they provide, they say is good for about 80% of their cases. Could you be a part of that 20% that's just an outlier? Absolutely. But go online first and see if you are within the processing times. So check on that. And that, my friends, is all she wrote for this evening. So I am going to log off. I'm going to go make myself some dinner. I'm going to finish up some work for one of my clients so they have it bright and early tomorrow morning. But I'm Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. We're a boutique immigration law firm. We work on employment-based cases. We do self-sponsored EB2 NIWs and EB1 extraordinary abilities. We do 751s. We do spousal marriage, green card cases, all the fun stuff, all the fun stuff. So if you want to work with me and my team, feel free to click the link in the bio, get yourself on my calendar, schedule yourself for a consultation. Every single person that I work with, it all starts out with a consultation. And Matthew, oh, that's so nice of you. Matthew says I'm always late to hear you. Matthew, that's because I don't go live at any specific time. So that's probably more a scheduling issue for me than it is for you being late. So I am going to go live again tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what time. I've been on Matthew for almost an hour and a half. So what I think that started me at like around 7:30 this evening, 7:30 to 8:30. Yeah, about 7:30-ish, somewhere in there. So, but if you subscribe to my page, that should give you a notification of when I go live. My lives, I also stream on YouTube and on the Facebook page. So the lives are also, they live there as well. I do not take them down. Yeah, but if you have a question, you can certainly pop on tomorrow and ask it. So with that, my friends, I will say goodnight. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. I will say goodnight. I'm going to go get some dinner and I'm going to finish up some work. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I will be back on here tomorrow. Bye, guys.